California voters overwhelmingly approved Proposition 7, a ballot initiative that opened the door to permanently adopting daylight savings time. Prop 7 gave state lawmakers the power to pass legislation making daylight savings time permanent. Less than a month later, Assemblyman Kenson Chu introduced AB 7, the Daylight Savings Time Law Prop 7 enabled, but the legislature never passed it. Even if they had, the federal government would still need to okay the change. This year, the U.S. Senate unanimously approved a bill called the Sunshine Protection Act, which was introduced by Senator Marco Rubio of Florida. The bill would permanently extend daylight savings time from 8 months of the year to the full 12 months. But the measure has not yet been passed by the U.S. House of Representatives, nor has it been signed into law by President Joe Biden.
Now,
Whoa.
just before we go on to the next section here, I must apologise to everyone on the YouTube stream that for the technical issues that we didn't have no audio until now for the YouTube stream. So apologies there. There you go. So yes, Marsha, next.
That means they didn't hear my groans. Can I do it again?
Aw.
They didn't hear nothing.
So
Go for it,
before we get to
Marcia.
the fun stuff, an important reminder to everyone that COVID is still around. And more people, even those vaccinated and safe all this time, are taking risks. They're taking risks by traveling, attending group events, and then they get COVID. So it's still risky and still deadly.
The lead author of a new study on the neurological impact of COVID-19 infection says that the disease is not as benign as people are starting to think. The research, published in the Journal of Nature Medicine, finds long COVID patients affected by some 44 different neurological disorders, including increased risk for Alzheimer's disease in the year following infection. The study was conducted by researchers at the Washington University School of Medicine in St. Louis.
Earlier this year, CDC researchers poured through millions of American health records looking for patients who might have long COVID. But figuring out who has the condition isn't easy. That's because there's no test for long COVID. In fact, scientists still don't know what exactly causes it. Long COVID is a catch-all term to describe an array of symptoms that people experience for weeks or for months after they recover from COVID-19, usually when they are no longer infectious. Some people have reported experiencing several of them, others report just one or two.
Now, being vaccinated helps. COVID is on the rise throughout Japan, Taiwan, Europe, and the rest of the world, and starting to rise again in the US. Be careful out there. Mask up and please attend events online or in VR through the winter to stay safe. We want you all to be happy, healthy, and in VR longer.
That's right, we all do. Winter is fast approaching. It's coming to the northern hemisphere right now. Chances of becoming deathly ill from COVID may be decreased among the vaccinated, but will still grow. The unvaccinated are at an even greater risk of becoming symptomatic and or infecting others.
The effects of long COVID are now being linked to a staggering list of lifelong consequences, with fatigue being the most common symptom.
Please make sure that you and your loved ones are protected.
This week, in other health news, scientists from Cambridge University have revealed that they have discovered the way cancer cells circulate through the body. Mice, in a study, have not only never developed expected cancers, but have produced stem cells instead that could repair damaged organs.
Not all neurological research this October is bad news either. A Melbourne-led team at Cortical Labs has taught 800,000 brain cells living in a petri dish to play Pong. Yes, Pong.
Pong? Well, there is a method to this madness. It is hoped that this dish brain will be able to test the functional effects of medications and to replace the need to use animal or human subjects in the future. Yes, that's what they're calling it. Dish brain.
Whoa. Well, meanwhile, may the better cells win.
Kudos.
Now, onto the fun stuff where we bring you the slightly off topic, bizarre, strange, and wow stuff you enjoy.
According to Mark Zuckerberg, Meta's most requested feature is not avatars with cold, dead eyes or rehiring Meta's fired ethics team. It was, in fact, legs. At some point later next year, as part of the big update, Meta will make all Horizon World avatars bipedal, just like the one Zuckerberg was using. Did all of you see that? I don't mean riding a
Sort of.
bike, but adding legs. It's taken this long for Meta to conquer the lower 50% of the human body because Zuckerberg says legs are tough for standalone VR headsets to figure out. In his presentation, Zuckerberg gave the example of sitting with your legs under a desk. Once they're out of sight, the headset doesn't know what they're up to. So Meta needs to build an AI model to predict what the heck your legs are doing under there. We all wonder.
Oh.
Okay, on that note, let's continue on. It's nothing new here in Altspace to enjoy recreations from ancient Rome to a whole fleet of spaceship and planets. In movies, actors have returned to roles in Star Wars that just wouldn't be the same without at least a homage to their former selves. So it is that the Roddenberry Archive, in collaboration with the Gene Roddenberry estate and the software rendering company Otoy, are attempting to recreate and document Star Trek from its original pilot, The Cage, sets and props, to perhaps, hopefully, the present day.
Whoa.
Now, Otoy is working with Lightfield Labs, the creator of solid light holographic displays, to achieve immersion without a headset or glasses. The goal is the digital preservation of holographic I can't even speak.
Reproductions.
That's it,
Reproductions.
thank you. Reproductions of Star Trek, where fans can tour a life-size Enterprise accurate to the original sets and interact with classic characters. The dream, I think, is to basically build a holodeck, says Lawrence Salick, the actor, as the living host of a performance by Leonard Nimoy.
Unfortunately for us, in order to stay, he says, in order to stay in the non-commercial realm, we're not putting this out there for people to download, says Otoy's CEO Jules Urbach. They are hoping it will find a home at the Smithsonian. In the meantime, Otoy has shared some amazing first looks on YouTube.
That's great. In the meantime, the Smithsonian unveiled Leonard Nimoy's own, very real, personal Spock ears yesterday at the Air and Space Museum in DC. You can see them with a free reservation in the new Kenneth C. Griffin Exploring the Planets gallery.
Leonard's son, Adam, tweets, "You might even notice a tribble nearby."
Tribbles?
Tribbles. Gotta love those furry guys.
Oh dear.
Uh,
Onto some world building news. The latest daily development builds of the Blender 3D modeling software have enabled native support for Wayland. If all goes well, the Blender 3.4 release coming up will ship with native Wayland support for Linux. Blender developers have been working on support for this popular software, given that more and more Linux distributions are shipping Wayland desktops by default. Blender 3.4 is aiming for release in early December and is bringing headless headless rendering to Linux, Intel OpenPGL integration, performance improvements for Sculpt, and many other enhancements.
Now, one of our favourite builders, Lance, has been working for the past few months developing a workshop, introducing Blender skills for Altspace VR world builders. We hope to have that ready to launch soon, so stay tuned and be inspired.
I just heard the word headless again. I'm getting a little worried. Well, it's getting closer and closer. Is anyone here going to Blender BCon conference this month in Amsterdam? It's October 27th and 29th. We will be reporting on the announcements and news coming out of that conference.
Yeah, and if you're on YouTube watching this, if you're not here physically and you're on YouTube watching it, let us know, because we'd love to hear a news report directly from somebody attending the conference. So, as mentioned, during its annual Connect conference the other day, Meta announced a partnership with Adobe that will bring several of the company's creative tools and programs to the Quest 2 and the new Quest Pro. Next year, Adobe will begin releasing a suite of apps on Quest headsets for professional 3D creators, designers, and artists, said Zuckerberg during the keynote.
This includes Adobe's Substance 3D modeler software, currently in beta for Windows and PC VR. The software began its life as Oculus Medium, a sculpting tool for PC VR, before being acquired by Adobe and rebranded to Substance 3D Modeler last year. This new partnership will see the tool come to Meta's standalone VR platforms for the first time, and will allow users to model and review 3D objects in standalone VR using touch controllers. It is slated to be released next year. Bravo.
That's nice.
Forms are out for submissions of Worlds to Halloween, Fight Night, and World Maze annual events in October. Go to educatorsinvr.com to find all the information you need. There's an ongoing volunteer training for scarers, and the deadline is October 15th.
Today.
Today, to get your Scary World submitted. Hurry, as Educators in VR team will begin checking worlds early to give you feedback and an approval notification. Again, check out the announcement at educatorsinvr.com.
Be there.
Or be square.
There will also be a couple more Halloween-themed World Tour events coming up, so check the calendar. Psycho Wench Productions is a new collaborator in our Fright Night events, and the scripted theatrical team is working on some great worlds for their mature audience events.
December is our annual community holiday storytelling and world tours event. If you wish to participate in any of these, please let us know. We want to really embrace the global nature of the Altspace VR community with worlds and stories that represent the holiday traditions of the world. Hey everyone, it's time to talk tech and hardware. Let's do it.
Yay!
The brand new Pico 4 headset from ByteDance is still set for launch in Europe next week, despite what the company calls unprecedented demand.
Even bigger news was made this past week at the MetaConnect Developers Conference when it announced the release of their new Quest Pro on October 24th, with the first ever Snapdragon XR2 Plus chip on board.
Not as big as its price tag, $14.99.
Ouch,
Oh,
you're kidding.
ouch.
Well, it's been reported that Quest 1 and 2s have been sold at or below Meta's cost.
Yeah, and the company now appears to need developers to offset the cost of production of their next consumer headset.
Of their new consumer headset? Yeah, hopefully more affordable.
$400 late next year. It'll be up to developers now to help bug hunt and create new users for the Quest's revolutionary capabilities. But anyone wanting to create content around face or full body tracking, for instance, will need the Pro and will have to pay for the privilege up front or wait until their competition offers it first.
Good luck. An
Yeah.
offering of
Uh-huh.
new $300 controller compatible with Quest 2 may be intended to assist early adopters who can't or won't afford the Pro. But unless there's a new content to make using them feel like they have a brand new Quest this year, that doesn't look like too much of an incentive.
Not really. Since next year's Quest 3 will come with its own pair of the same controllers.
Right. I look forward to hearing more about that. Ooh, do I ever.
Mhm.
Well, so far the response has been lukewarm. So even if the new price points may be needed for continued metaverse progress, the latest hardware may be good for business but bad for customer relations.
And then there's Apple.
No.
Yes, their earphones. Okay, their earphones already have head tracking, and their watches are already aware. Their watches are already aware of hand gestures and have haptic feedback. The latest scuttlebutt from sources that have often been right is that the headset will be noticeably lighter than existing VR headsets and feature dual 4K OLED pancake micro displays, retinal scanning, and downward facing leg cameras.
Nice.
Yeah, but expensive. The price tag may be as high as $3,000. Oh, hey, but that's
Ah,
Apple.
Oh,
oh. On the good news side for Quest 2 users, there has been a new meta alliance with Microsoft with games like Iron Man VR and Xbox Cloud Gaming coming to Quest headsets.
Imagine connecting an Xbox controller to your Quest headset and playing cloud compatible games from the Xbox Game Pass Ultimate Library on a large screen in VR.
No word on the release date yet, but something to look forward to.
Okay.
Don't count the Valve out yet. Recent job postings for the company reveal it may be working on a new standalone index headset.
Well,
Excellent.
meanwhile, more in keeping with Halloween, Stress Level Zero, Bone Lab made $1 million in his first hour in the Quest store,
Wow.
setting a record as the fastest selling game on the platform.
Wow.
And did you know Meta's VR headset harvests personal data right off your face?
That could be really scary.
Uh-huh. Well, Meta announced it would delete all its data extracted from 1 billion, that's with a B, images posted on Facebook. Questions still remain, however, about what and how the company will address privacy issues from within Quest. The user can protect personal data by turning off the face and eye tracking in the new VR headsets, but then they lose the ability to use those enhancements. Meta is betting consumers will consider it a fair exchange.
Hmm.
Is that what
Hmm.
I have to work with?
Hmm.
I'm looking at all you three, yeah. Anyway, PC Magazine has all but confirmed the demise of the smartphone attachable VR devices, like the venerable and much loved Google Cardboard.
How many saw their first VR world in one of those?
Me.
Me too.
Me too.
Yeah, we've got a few in the audience. So, PC Magazine now lists the Quest 2 as #1 in its list of both standalone and tethered VR headsets, with Sony PlayStation VR, Valve Index, and Pro 2, HP Reverb G2 rounding out their list of best in that order. So, let's now explore some news from around the metaverse. News you need to know as it impacts many of us.
Well, Meta CEO Mark Zuckerberg sees its Reality Labs division as focusing on 4 main platforms going forward. Those are roughly defined as Horizon and its avatars, VR headsets, AR headsets, and neural interfaces like its upcoming watch wristband.
Mhm.
That's what really interests me. That's fascinating.
That's
We're gonna-
interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, we're going to
Hmm.
talk a little bit about that. So Zuckerberg states, and we quote, "We're going to really focus on those 4 areas and probably deprioritize other stuff in Reality Labs." Unquote. Oh, never mind. He's still quoting. There's interplay between them, obviously. But I also think each will stand on its own. By the time that you have neural interfaces, there'll still be many more people using phones and computers than using VR or AR devices, even if it's initially invented in order to be a kind of input mechanism for augmented reality. End quote.
End quote.
This
End quote.
end quote. This neural wristband technology was acquired by Facebook Meta in 2019 from startup CTRL Labs. The wristband is designed to allow you to control computers with your brain. So much for being headless.
Mm.
Careful, Mark's here.
Zuckerberg and those he employs believe Thomas Reardon's team from CTRL Labs are onto something that could be the key to unlock for the 21st century. What the QWERTY keyboard layout did in the 19th century and the graphical user interface GUI did in the 20th century.
So they've been searching for an input system that makes sense to pair with augmented reality glasses. And in the tech acquired from Control Labs or CTRL Labs, they believe they've found it. Zuckerberg wore the wristband and he demonstrated how tiny gestures, even those practically imperceptible to an onlooker, could translate to the sorts of simple actions we do hundreds of times a day for things like moving through a TV's menu via remote control or swiping from one screen to the next on our phones. Our keyboards may soon become antique technology of the past. Imagine that.
Imagine that,
Yeah,
like the rest of
wow.
us.
Oh.
Blogger Jason Dyer is playing and blogging about Ferret, an obscure an obscure huge sci-fi text adventure first released in 1982. The original Ferret was made for the Data General Nova, a 16-bit mini computer, and was only made available for PC with a DOS version released as its free download by the original authors in 2009. Ferret's anonymous creators who worked at the UK division of Data General explained that since their game was developed in stages, the game's architecture allowed the addition of extra phases in the increment manner. Say that 10 times fast.
No kidding. And so they continued developing it. The updates ending with a final functional release with Endgame that was uploaded on August 15th, 2022. That means it was 40 years between the first version of Ferret and one with an Endgame, which may technically be a record for the longest time a game has ever been in development. Good luck beating that Beyond Good and Evil 2.
I was waiting for something there.
Well, I thought it was
Yeah.
funny.
Evil 2.
There we go.
Nice, Marcia.
Now, more on Meta. A platform said it would notify roughly 1 million Facebook users that their account credentials may have been compromised due to security issues with apps
Ouch.
downloaded from Apple. Yes. And Alphabet's software stores. The company announced Friday that it identified more than 400 malicious Android and iOS apps this year that target internet users in order to steal their login information. As I said, it
Oh.
informed both Apple and Google about the issue in order to facilitate removal of the apps. The apps worked by disguising themselves as photo editors, mobile games, or health trackers, Facebook said.
Oh.
Ouch.
Wow. Ouch, indeed. That's for sure. Apple said 45 of the 400 problematic apps were on its App Store and have been removed. Google removed all of the malicious apps in question, a spokesperson said. The malicious activity occurred off of Meta Systems, Agranovich said, adding that not all 1 million people necessarily had their passwords compromised.
Meanwhile, the Russian authorities have added Meta, which owns Facebook and Instagram, to a list of terrorist and extremist organizations. The country's Interfax agency reports the two platforms were banned in Russia in March for Russophobia. I've never heard of that. It followed Meta's announcement it would permit posts such as death to Russian invaders, but not credible threats against civilians. Meta appealed against the ban, but it was upheld by a Moscow court in June. The ban did not apply to WhatsApp, which Meta also owns. It is unclear whether the designation includes WhatsApp. Banning this, the most popular messaging app in Russia, would cut citizens off from the outside world in a truly profound way.
Oh, wow. Well, according to Wall
Uh-huh.
Street Journal, at one U.S. amusement park, the plummeting rides activated the iPhones and Apple Watches crash detection system.
Oh no.
Oh my God. I can only imagine. I can only imagine.
Oh,
The
me
feature
too.
was introduced in the new iPhone 14 and Apple Watch Series 8s, Ultra and SE with the latest OS. Oh, tell us more about this.
Now, Apple told the newspaper the technology is intended to provide peace of mind and will continue
Sure.
to improve over time. So, in a recording of one of the calls obtained by the newspaper, an automated message from an iPhone can be heard saying, "Owner of this iPhone was in a severe car crash and it is not responding to their phone." The sound of the amusement park is audible in the background.
Oh,
Has
I'm
anybody,
picturing
you
it now.
guys-
The owner of this iPhone is in a severe car crash and is not responding to their phone.
Have any of
And
you
in the
had that
background,
happen to them? I
and
was in a
I mean,
tree
in the
once.
background, you're hearing people screaming going down that roller coaster. Whee!
No, I was in a tree once picking fruit, and I came down the ladder, and my watch went off. My watch said, "Have you had a fall?" Of course, I said no because I was coming off the ladder. But we laughed.
I'm glad
but
it asked.
actually, yeah, that was nice. Anybody in the audience have that happen to them? No. Okay. Well, it's oddball me again, I guess. Okay.
No,
let's
me too.
continue. Okay, back to MetaConnect 2022. So that conference was chock full of exciting announcements. We even got an official release date for Among Us VR. I'm looking at you, Lance. I know you're not here, but you've been waiting for that. Some lucky folks were able to sign up for early gameplay with their beta back in August, leaving us slowpokes who didn't sign up in time out in the cold. Well, now we can all play when the game becomes available on Steam, MetaQuest, and Rift stores next month for $9.99. To spice up the excitement, you can pre-order the game now on MetaQuest store to unlock a mini crewmate hat pre-order bonus. Cool.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah.
Oh. Augmented reality is proving to be an immensely powerful tool within the fashion industry. Now, for something totally different, the ability to try on realistic 3D models of real world clothing has become a popular method of advertising among industry leading companies. This includes Amazon and its virtual try-on for shoes, as well as Snapchat's dress-up feature.
I'm really trying to picture all of this. Try on shoes, for instance. No, it doesn't work. You can't walk in them, especially if you don't have
shoes.
legs. But what,
Indeed.
but what about the physical stores? You know, those little mom and pop places that are struggling to compete with the ever-growing e-commerce market. How can brick and mortar establishments use immersive technology and then try on to their advantage?
Good point.
Yeah. Want to tell us
This is
about
where
the mirror?
010's AR Mirror comes in. Powered by a Macintosh desktop computer, this AI-enabled interactive display renders virtual clothing over the real world in 4K resolution at 60 frames per second, offering potential customers a unique and exciting way to sample fashion products in real time. 010's AR fashion platform employs a combination of 3D body tracking, cloth simulation, and body segmentation. Oh, there's that headless thing again.
There you
Technology
go.
to trap you, to drape you in digital garments that Freudian slip that
Yeah.
react realistically to your physical movements. Moving forward, 010 plans on introducing additional cameras and LiDAR sensors for better depth tracking of people walking along on the street. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, right.
Oh, you
Uh-huh.
know, one of the things I hate the most about shopping is trying on clothes. You have to take off your clothes and shoes, and then you have to try on whatever you decided you liked, just to find out it doesn't fit. And then you start the process all over again.
Yeah, but what if your shoes hurt that you try on? How are they going to tell you in AI that your feet hurt when you put those shoes on? I just want to know that. Yes, I hate that too. You still might have to try on the clothes, but at least it'll give you a better idea of how they look on you first, but it doesn't tell you how the shoes are going to fit.
Okay, at this juncture, Mark, I hope I don't get in trouble with you, but I thought it might be kind of cool to share with the audience a little behind the scenes look. So you guys know Laurel wasn't with us this time, so we've been scrabbling hard these last couple of days, and we're all a bit nervous because of it. So on the clothing thing, Marcia, do you want to share with them what happened today behind the scenes with the clothing thing when Mark made that comment to you about the clothing line?
Mark colorizes, or we get together and we colorize our script. So we each have a color assigned to us. So there was some of the script that was still black, and we didn't know who was supposed to do it. So I told Mark, you missed a couple, and he says it belongs in the clothing section. So I'm looking all through the script for the clothing section. I couldn't find it, but thanks, Mark. Clothing.
Uh-huh. Yep.
Yeah, and then you said something about having to clean up the clothing aisles, Marcia, too.
So then I told him, I says, clean up on aisle 3. And then I sent him a GIF of what's the mouse's with the cat's character?
Tom.
Huh?
Tom.
Tom.
Say, who?
It's Tom.
Tom.
Okay. Anyway,
Tom
it was a
and
cat.
Jerry?
It was a
Tom
Tom and Jerry. It was Tom and Jerry. Doggone you, Mark. It was Tom and Jerry, and the GIF was Tom and Jerry, and he was cleaning up blue footprints all over the place as he walked away. Clean up on aisle 3. It was funny.
Anyway,
it's easier to see it.
It is. That's our inside look at the news and updates, and I hope I haven't lost my job after that. Okay. All right. All right, everybody. So now it's time.
Job
for our
opening on aisle
Discord.
3.
You're going to lose your job too, Marcia. You better be careful. Steph is being extra careful because this is her first time up here. Okay, so it's time now for our Discord tip of the week. Discord is our back channel communications I can't talk communications tool used by AltSpace VR and events and many groups all across the AltSpace VR community.
Interviews are open now.
Yeah, you're up.
You've
Yes,
heard us
now.
mention Dolly before. The AI image generator where you enter a string of text and the algorithm generates an image based on your text. Well, many competitors have popped up, among them Midjourney. Did you know that you can add Midjourney bot to your own server so that your members can generate photos right in your server?
I love Midjourney. To use it, first, you need to join the Midjourney Discord server and go to the user list on the Midjourney server, select the Midjourney bot, and click on it. If you can't find it, use the search bar. Then select Add to Server. Then select the server you want to invite the bot to. And that's it. By the way, it is so much fun to see your results.
But there are a couple of things to be aware of. You are limited to 25 free images. After that, if you want to continue making images, you need to join one of their paid plans. The basic member monthly subscription lets you create up to 200 images and costs $10. It goes up from there. The other thing to be aware of is that images generated on private servers are still visible to other users on the midjourney.com.
I'm getting the $30 one. There are several
Ah.
AI galleries popping up here in ASVR, including, by the way, Nico has a new AI test world, and it's amazing. You haven't
It
seen what
really
Nico
is.
has created with AI.
Do not miss it.
Your mind will be blown away. I promise.
Are
It's
you
amazing.
guys? Yes, everything Nico touches is amazing.
Agreed.
Are you guys excited about the Halloween season events coming up? So are we. We're going to now give you some highlights of a few events coming up this week and some peeks into some spooky future events from the more than 300 VR events here in AltSpace VR this coming week. Don't worry, we have some calmer events for the week of heart. I love that laugh.
Okay. We'll take your word for it. On Sunday, come join. Not if you say it like that. Come join Cadets Metaverse World Hop team as we tour the Thetis 2086 album world by Dr. Jose Ferrer, Dr. Hardbeats, pediatrician, IRL, and a DJ in VR. We'll host the event, and together we will explore the worlds and the music associated with them. Don't miss this. It's wonderful. We will
It is
learn
a
about the
wonderful show.
theremin instrument, and about the artist who was an expert at playing the theremin. You haven't heard Claire de Lune until you've heard it on the theremin by Carolina Ike.
Yes, it is. It's just absolutely spectacular. On Tuesday, the Educators in VR team will offer the 1-hour introduction with tips and techniques for moderating events in AltSpace VR and beyond. If you ever wanted to moderate or already moderate and want a refresher course, don't miss this event.
Indeed. Educators in VR is hosting a month-long series of special events in AltSpace VR dedicated to building cyberbullying awareness. The special interest group teams are tackling the subject from various perspectives, such as the VR coaching and personal development team exploring awareness and self-care in the metaverse, and the virtual schooling team talking about parents and talking to their children about cyberbullying.
Very important.
Yes, very
On
important.
the 18th of October, is a special annual event as part of the larger Cyberbullying Month activities. It is the Event Host Speak Out panel, featuring event hosts and moderators to discuss their experiences with trolls, bullies, and crowd control. If you are an event host and would like to be included, talk to a member of the team after the show or contact them on Discord.
This Wednesday, Educators in VR's aviation team explores the XR aviation industry, including Microsoft Flight Simulator, air traffic control simulators, space and planet simulators, and the aerospace industry's use of immersive technology in education. This is a great opportunity to meet others exploring XR in aviation.
Wonderful. Wonderful.
Yeah.
Wow.
Mhm.
Also on Wednesday, Educators in VR, the language learning team will meet. They represent educators, students, researchers, and all those passionate about learning and teaching language, foreign languages, language skills, and translation in the virtual immersive learning environment we know as the metaverse.
Wednesday, oops. There we go. Wednesday always
go.
has a lot of events. In preparation for the Halloween Fright Night event in Oxbase VR, the Educators in VR, news and updates, and creative writing sponsors bring you an educational behind the scenes tour of Halloween worlds to inspire you to build worlds to participate in the event.
There are so many ways to get involved with Halloween here in Allspace VR. Educators in VR is offering volunteer training to scare. You have to be trained to scare. You can't do it on your own. You have to be trained. You want to scare people throughout dozens of worlds as part of their Halloween Fright Nights? If you're a writer, consider sharing your original scary story in the Creative Writing Meetup's Halloween Fright Night storytelling event. And the 25th of October, so much going on. Come in and be a scary part of it, please. Boo.
Also on Wednesday is the Educators in VR virtual hardware team event where the team discusses all the latest in VR hardware, including VR headsets, controllers, VR labs, haptic controllers, augmented reality, and the wide diversity of immersive technology.
On Thursday, join the Educators in VR's research team for a fascinating talk by Tommy Erickson. Tommy developed City Air Sim, which is a VR application to teach high school students about the effects of city planning has on air pollution through the study of street width and vegetation density, turning virtual streets into a laboratory for students to change the city and see the effects on air pollution.
With a
That's a good
PhD
one.
in applied IT, Tommy Erickson of City Air Sim teaches and researches digital media and application in storytelling, teaching, and remote collaboration. His 2016 PhD thesis explored how virtual reality is represented in fiction, primarily science fiction feature films. He continues to research VR for education and for remote collaboration, and is studio director for the Coogan Studio, Student Market Space, and Coogan Media Lab, Research Lab.
Bear with me. I seem to have lost the script. Okay.
Too many things at once,
I
Mark.
have to give it to Mark here. He's running the
Yeah.
slides, the script, the YouTube, everything else.
Dialogue.
Hearts up for Mark. Give it up
Yeah,
for him.
hearts
Indeed.
up. Plus, he's our
You're doing
leader.
great.
He keeps us all
Okay.
in line and tells us what to do on top of everything else.
hmm
Uh-huh.
So I don't have the script in my face. I now to do the unprofessional and lift up my headset. Okay, so Friday is. Let me change that. Right. Friday begins with Educators in VR's Theatre Teams Universal Conference. Come and join them for the fun-filled and informative 2 days of events related to the performing in VR.
That will be fun. On
Indeed.
Saturday, don't miss this, a special event hosted by the very, very, very talented Nico. Nico will offer a tour of his awe-inspiring solar system. You'll see everything from constellations and planets to a full-on supernova and black hole. Stand at the event horizon as stars warp around you and get pulled into the unknown. If you have never experienced this, believe me, you are in for a real educational treat. He also has tours on Fridays.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, if you have never seen those, they will just
Don't miss
blow
it.
your mind. You think you've seen it all in VR? Go look at one of
Uh-uh.
Nico's tours or presentations.
You know what would be a fun thing to do is if somebody here knows somebody new that's just come into AltSpace VR, take them there. Take them there first.
Mhm.
Yeah. Agreed.
I don't know. Then they won't appreciate anything else.
Well, if you're
Well.
a teacher or an educator, bring your students in, loan them a mask, a headset.
Mm-hmm. A good idea, Marcia. So also on Saturday is Simulation Nation. And you
Yeah.
know, last week Simulation Nation featured one of our best world builders here, Darren. So this week, this coming Saturday, Ozzy will be the guest, and we'll talk about the theory of everything, which should prove to be really interesting.
Next Saturday morning, the New York Stereoscopic Society hosts its weekly show, which includes a live Zoom and streaming. If you are anything into 3D, you want to check this out.
Again, we really wish we had time to bring attention to all the amazing events in Space VR. Check them out on the calendar, on the website, and in World, and make sure you RSVP to mark an event as interested. So you will be notified through email you used to sign up for Space an hour in advance of the event.
Mhm.
Mark, are we doing? Yes,
We have a drum roll.
Yes, we are.
Drum roll.
Okay.
We have a drum roll.
We can do a few on this one.
Okay.
So, yes.
Okay, awesome. Okay, thank you. All right, so I love this part of the show. So it's time for our discussion where you guys get the chance to have your say, share your news, your thoughts and opinions, and let us know what you're doing here in our AltSpace VR community.
Think about what forces brought about mass adoption of some of our current technology. One of the key factors that led to the widespread adoption of cell phones was the development of the smartphone, specifically the iPhone. The browser was the killer app that brought the internet to everyone's homes.
What do you think will be the main catalyst that will catapult VR into mass adoption? Will it be hardware, a killer app, a certain price point, a platform, social VR, gaming? What do you think?
Okay, the raise hand
Raise
button
your
is up.
hand.
Raise hand button
How
is
many
up.
think price?
Uh-huh.
They're
Okay,
enthusiastic.
Charlene, you are on air. Whoops. Okay, we lost Charlene. Maybe that was just a mistake. Come on, you guys
Okay,
out
I'm
there.
here.
Oh, okay,
Oh, there you are.
perfect.
Hear me? Okay.
Yes.
Yep.
So I do. I think it's going to be price, right? That drives it. Because right
Mhm.
now, since it's so new to the market, price is so high that it's hard for people to get their hands on it. I'm one of them. You know, I'm watching you guys from my laptop.
Agreed.
But I know as the price goes down and the technology continues to move further along, you're going to have more adopters, just like how it is with, you know, almost everybody having a laptop these days, right? Or a PC in their hands.
Uh-huh.
Mhm.
I agree.
Good point. Very good point, Charlene. Yeah, they just can get the price point down and keep it down. And of course, Apple, you know, Apple always has to do things on the high end. I mean, they they'll probably come in and sweep up the business market, but well, anyway, it is what it is. Okay, NFS3, you are on air.
Yeah, I think when AR gets to the point where it can replace the TVs and computer monitors and computers and even the phones, um, that'll make the price worth it because you won't have to buy all that stuff.
Good point.
Yeah.
Yes,
very
very
good
good
point.
point. Thank you for sharing that, NFS3. Yeah,
In the
it's
entry
just-
level, if the entry level, if people, meaning people is entry level, not so much tech, but let's say someone wants to try it out, they're not going to spend a huge amount of money to try it out. It's like
exactly.
clothing and the shoes, you know.
Yeah, my first headset. Well, I had a Google Gargle, a Google Cardboard. And I got to see a little bit with that. But I bought a Go because it was $100. Well, at that time the Quest One had just come out, but it was $100 less than the Quest One, and I thought, okay, well, it's not like a huge investment, and if I don't like it, of course, I never look back. But yeah, price point is pretty important. Okay, come
Yeah.
on, you guys out there. Dave, you're involved in a very unique subset of VR with your stereoscopic stuff. You have anything you want to add? Raise your hand if you do. Okay, anybody else?
I think he's
Dave,
trying to
yeah,
raise
okay,
his hand.
Dave is up. He is. Okay, Dave, you've got the megaphone.
Well, I don't know.
Whoops.
Oh.
What happened there? Okay, you're okay. Try it again, Dave. Okay, let me take you off megaphone, and then I'm going to give it to you again. Let's try it again.
All right. I pushed
Okay.
the wrong button. So I don't know. I can't
It
think of anything
happens.
in particular. Can you hear me all right?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. I can't think of too much that relates directly to the 3D stuff that I do, but it seems to me that, and it's kind of been touched on a little bit, that what is probably going to make a big difference is an integration of vision system to smartphones, because the smartphones will grow to the point where they'll have a lot of intelligence and power, and so that it doesn't have to be all contained in the headset. So when those things become integrated and become basically a unit, I think that'll have an awful lot to do with it, and it'll make a big difference. That's about all I have to say.
Okay, that's a very
Cool.
good point, Dave.
Yeah.
Thank you for
Uh-huh.
sharing that. Let's see, Darren, you're up next.
All right, I just think this is going to be in the future, but realism, I think, is going to be what will catapult it into adopting VR. The more realistic worlds and environments that will get people to try it out. It is pretty good as it is, but if it looks close to realism, I guess it's the uncanny valley, they say. Then that will get
Mm.
people into trying it out, saying everybody else, oh, this is so realistic, you got to try it out. But it's not going to happen until we get really fast processors and better algorithms in the system and everything else to make it work. As it is, it's not too bad. I mean, I think it's sold out a lot of the S2s were selling out like hotcakes when it was $299, and even at $399, they're still selling them pretty well. Price
Indeed.
has a lot to do with it too. Even though it went up $100, people are still buying them. I think price is a big adoption. As a matter of fact, that's what Zuckerberg said. He lowered the price so it'd be better adoption. People will try VR for the first time at $299 at the time, and
And that's how we got
so
hooked.
that's
Mhm,
how it got
mhm.
That's how they got people learning about VR. It's coming. Even the commercials I see on TV now, the AT&T commercials or something like that, or is it? I'm not sure which one it is. But they actually had somebody using a VR headset. I think it's a Quest 2 in the commercial, And it shows that it's commonplace that they say people using these in a commercial, and people go, "Oh, what is that?" Yeah, it looks like I've seen everybody else on a commercial with that. So and it brings it into the foreplay of people just going into it and trying it out. Hey, what are those things? And how do you get those? So yeah,
Agreed.
that's what I have to say.
Yeah, that's a very good point, and it's kind of what comes first, the egg or the chicken, right? And you got to have good hardware to get the good experience, the realism. And then the hardware costs money, so it kind of sort of a circular thing almost. That's a good point, Darren. Thank you
Uh-huh.
for sharing.
You know,
Marcia, you
Karen,
wanted to add something.
I would like to ask people what made you get in your first headset? What is it that interested you that you bought your first headset?
Ooh, good question. Leslie, you're on air, Leslie. Leslie? Okay, Leslie, I'm going to take the megaphone. I'm going to delete the megaphone and I'm going to add it back right now. Try again.
Salt space.
Yep.
It's trying.
I know.
Oh,
Oh, shoot.
Can anyone, just one person at least, say what made them buy their first VR
Jim is
headset?
up. Jim is
Okay.
up.
Yeah, I got mine as a Christmas present on January 6th, or I wouldn't
Ah,
be here.
wow. Well, somebody knew you wanted that headset. That's awesome, Jim. Delcine, you are on air. Oops, wait a minute. I'm sorry, Delcine. It flipped around on me. You should be back on air now.
Okay. I never heard of a headset in 2018. My friend and I were shopping in a computer store. He was going to build a computer, and they were giving a demonstration at the computer store with we could try on a headset and see what it was like. And I tried it on and was scared out of my wits. So, I wouldn't move. I
and
could
that's why
not
you bought it?
move. Yeah, it was like fascinating. So the one that they were showing me was really scary. So a store rep took me to another aisle and showed me an Oculus Go. And I played with that for a little while and I bought it. Well, my friend bought it for me and I played with it and I was so fascinated. I showed it to him. I made him put it on and he looked at it and he bought one and he bought a couple for his family members and I bought some for my family members.
Wow.
That's the
And
way it works.
Yeah, that's what I
Yes.
yeah,
did too. Yeah. Good for you, Delcine.
Yes. Thank you for
Yeah.
sharing that, Delcine.
Even
At
after
least you
being
went
so
to a store and
scared.
tried it on to see if it was comfortable.
Yes.
it
Ah,
was scary. Looked like a whole mess. It was like tethered to a computer and I was intimidated because the computer was like really
oh,
expensive. It was like a gamer computer or something. And it
Oh.
had it was like wires everywhere. It was like the HTC thing or something like that. And I was
And here
scared
you
to
are.
death.
Here
Yeah.
you are 4 years later, building worlds, creating
Yeah.
beautiful experiences in
Yeah.
VR.
ha
R- Yeah. A lot of fun.
It definitely is. Leslie, I gave you megaphone again. Try it again and see if it works. No? Oh, no? Okay. All right, Dave. Dave, you're up. You're up next.
Oh, he can't either.
Oh, wait a minute. Let me see. Okay, I'm going to click it off. Okay, I'm going to wait 2 seconds. And I'm going to click it back on. All right, try now, Dave.
Okay, now it's on. All right.
Okay.
There you go.
Yeah, my answer does relate to my interest in stereo vision and 3D because I've been involved in that for quite a while, and I used to make my own cameras for the 3D cameras, and I would view my images or anybody else's images using a smartphone, and I'd have the smartphone mounted in an old-fashioned stereoscope, like they used to use in the late 1800s in a parlor.
Yeah.
And I had it mounted in there so that I could view my stereo images that way, side by side. So I already had a great interest in being able to see that way. I loved it. I love 3D. I just get so immersed in it. And then I became involved with various 3D photo clubs, stereo clubs, one of them being the New York Stereographic Society. And the people that I was associated with in there were already in VR, and they had their own headsets. They were telling me all about these things, these places they went, and the things that they did. It sounded fascinating, and I just had no choice. I had to get an Oculus 2, so I got one, and I love it. It's been great ever since. It started off, I didn't know AltSpace existed. We were in all sorts of other things, touring around the world and doing games and things. And then they discovered AltSpace and brought me in, and I've been a world builder ever since.
Wow, that's awesome, Dave. Okay, folks, we went over a little bit, and so that's all for this week's news and updates. Thank you for joining us here every week and for celebrating 4 years of news and updates every Saturday.
We do this for you for free. Although I'm going to get Mark to give me a raise. to help you be better informed community. We are volunteers, not AltSpace VR employees. We do this because we believe in this community. We live stream the news onto YouTube and Twitch every week. You can catch up with past episodes and more about AltSpace VR events, projects, news, and community activities, as well as our own news and update Discord.
We could not do this without our amazing volunteer team of reporters, moderators, filmers, and support team. If you'd like to join the news and updates team, let us know. We love to teach you about how all this insanity comes together at the last minute every week, I can attest. It's a great way to learn about event production, too.
The word was really insanity. Yes, I love that word.
Yes. So, thank you to all our friends and community members. We are with you. Stand tough, stand up. And most of all, in these uncertain times, please be safe wherever you are in the world.
Please give this crew up here a hand. They went through hell and high water to push one for you today. They're wonderful.
It was a community effort, and we also want to send up hearts for Laurel that she recovers quickly.
Absolutely.